So then another set of holes would be, I'm just going to get to a different view on here, and that is for the clamping bolts. Now the clamping bolts are these bolts right here. So there's here you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So there's 8 of them on a 40-incher, and that's where those 5/16 bolts, there's 2 of them, are going to go. And then there's a clamping bar that's going to go across the top. So every 5 inches, we have an extreme amount of pressure. And you'll notice that I've been testing out different kinds of clamping bars. I've been making my own out of hardwoods. I bake in some out of flat bar aluminum. I've made them all different materials. It looks like I'm kind of coming down to, and I think for a lot of people, the easiest thing is just going to be to use this stuff. And then the only catch is you got to be able to cut it into either 4-inch or 6-inch pieces, but it's very effective. It works really well. So where do you put those holes? Now those are going to go right here. They're going to go, there's one on one side, one on the other, every 5 inches, right? And I'm not showing it here because, again, I'm learning. And what I'm doing now, and what we're going to do is, instead of going through just the first flange, we're going to keep that drill press, that drill bit going, and we're going to go through the second flange as well. What that allows us to do is to double up. We're using the same clamp system, and we're coming up with a set here, but we can also then, from underneath, to have a whole nother set of, like in this case, 8 clamps. And so we can run 2 of them at a time. So when you're doing almost like production work, then you can run 2 glue ups off of the same piece, and all you need is the extra bolts and the extra bars because the holes are already there for it. So that's one of the major changes that we're going to make to what we got here. But so that is going to be a 17/64 bit. And again, this looks crazy because that's what that is that's an 80-inch piece, right? But I'm going to narrow it down to just the piece. So there. And again, now that looks, hopefully that looks much easier. And so what I've got here is a whole pattern of 2.5, 7.5, 12.5, 17.5, 22.5, 27.5. These drawings, by the way, are in there on the Instructables version of this. So you don't have to try to remember all of that. But you can see I've got 2 sets of holes, one here, here. And so what I'm going to be doing is taking my ruler, setting it up on the end of the channel, like I'm doing here, like I did here, right? And then I'm going to set the ruler there. And then I'm going to mark to 2.5, to 7.5, and whatever those numbers are. Then I'm going to use a speed square to basically cross over to the other side. And then that's going to be our setup for all of the holes that are going to be for the mounting brackets or for the clamps. And then again, we're going to go through both flanges though when we do the drilling, and then we're all set to go. And then the last thing that we're going to be doing on those is, after we're done drilling them, then that's where we're going to run this tap. Okay, so if I was going to do a whole bunch of these, then I wouldn't do this part of it, but I'm just doing one at a time. So I'm going to use the same drill press. I'm just going to switch out the drill bit. This is where I'm going to go to a 17/64, and that is critical. The 3/8 isn't all that critical. You want to go 3/8 because you need that space in there, but if you don't have a 3/8 or something, you want to go a little larger, even a little smaller, you're okay. But 17/64 is critical because, again, that is the pilot hole for through steel on a 5/16 bolt, and that's what we're going to be using this for. So I'm just going to switch that out. Good. Just make sure that we're consistent. I'm going to, again, use those marks I put earlier, the L, the L, the L. That's going to be on my left. And then I'm going to set up the fence here. I do have to tweak the fence as well to get, basically what I want to do is I want to be 3 inches out from the center. And so sometimes that sometimes this 1 inch stuff isn't truly 1 inch. And so the more critical thing is to basically be a constant 3 inches apart. And that's what I'm going to be looking for on the fence setup. And then the other thing I need to do here, because that's a shorter bit and we're starting off at a lower height, I need to bring the table height up, because I need to go through this top flange, and then I'm also going to go through the second flange. That gives us then the ability to double the use of this whole thing. So raise that up, etc., etc. So again, the total going across is 4. Wouldn't you know it, my pencil has a broken tip on it. Yep, got another one. The total going across is 4, so I'm going to mark 2, right? Then from there, I'm going to mark to right there, which is 1.5. And then from that same mark, I'm going to mark to there, which is 1 1/2. And those are my 2 outers. That's my goal, is to try to catch as close as I can to that. So again, I just need to reset the fence, and then I'm going to make a test tap or 2. So the test was dead on. So now all I'm going to do is go to those same lines that we were looking at before. But again, I do want to make sure that I'm going to go all the way through, and then I'm not going to hit the plate. So I'm going to set I'm putting my bit down into the hole there. I'll kind of feel it anyhow, but I might as well set the stop. So we're all set to start drilling, and we're going to go all the way through that first hole, and then I'm going to continue and go down to the second flange. So that's the last hole on this side. Got them all. Now I'm going to spin it around 180, clean the table, and then just going to do the same thing on the other side. So that's the last one on that side as well. So now we have all of our holes that are going to be used for the different clamps, and those are all 5 inch on center, and they're all 17/64. So really what we need to do is just tap them yet with the 5/16 tap.